In this tracing, we pace the ventricle and we put in a premature beat. The area of interest is around the premature beat. And I've asked you a question in the journal that I'll show you now on the next tracing here. S2 confirms conduction over an accessory pathway, the AV node, and an accessory pathway, or the AV node by itself. So let's delve right into this and analyze the tracing. Remember I said we're pacing the ventricle and we put a premature beat. If you look carefully on the His bundle lead, you notice that there is a little spike before each QRS. This is actually a retrograde His bundle that's seen here. Note that we're not pacing at the apex, but more towards the high septum or even outflow tract type area. When you do that, you can often actually record a His on this tracing. When you see S1 in the last drive, you see the His bundle, and then you see the atrial electrogram. And you see an abnormal activation sequence that's coming up slightly to the left side, but you really can't be sure. Sometimes AV node retrograde conduction can come up the left side. The whole answer is in S2, the premature beat. S2 causes this His bundle to jump out. So why does it jump out? It jumps out because you get retrograde block in the right bundle, transeptal conduction over to the left side, up the left bundle, and back into the His. So that's why the His jumps out. That becomes extremely important as a diagnostic feature, because now you note that while the His jumps out, the A's don't move very much, and the HA interval suddenly changes. You never get a sudden changing, a shortening of the HA interval with the AV node, at least not that I've seen in over 40 years in the business. This is always due to retrograde conduction over an accessory pathway. So that's what you have here, clearly defines that. So there's no AV node seen here in S2, so that would be a wrong answer. It would be only over the accessory pathway. So what does the AV node look like? That's very different. Let me just show you an example of this that's not in the journal, but that you should know about. So unlike an accessory pathway, when you're having retrograde conduction over the AV node and the His moves out for the same reason, retrograde block in the right bundle, transeptal conduction, and then retrograde conduction then over the left bundle to the His, you then get a His-H interval out like such. Now, this is with a premature interval of 300 milliseconds. If we now shorten the premature interval to 280, what you see is, to 260, what you see is the H moves out even further. That's because you have delay in this retrograde system. And the H2A2 stays about the same. The reason you don't have much change in the H2A2 interval is because as the His moves out, the interval from that the AV node sees retrograde, the H1, H2 interval, stays about the same. So unlike this moving in of the HA, which is not really moving in, it's the His is independent of the A. Now the His and A are married. That's classic retrograde conduction over the AV node. So the answer to this question was S2 conducts only over an accessory pathway.